Okay, hi everyone. I'm going to show you now how to do the basis for our pinch pot, which can then go into our gargoyles. So this is the gargoyle that I have made before, and what we've got here is a slab on the back, okay, and we've created a pinch pot that goes over the top, okay. Most importantly though, what you may have created in there, if that was a completely flat back of it, and if this didn't have holes in it, we would have created one massive air bubble. So we've got to be aware that we don't want that to happen, but we do want the shape and the form of that pinch pot. So we need to make sure that there are some holes where the air can escape. And this hole actually makes it really useful because you can actually hang it over a nail or something onto the wall anyway, okay? But this way the air can escape, so it won't explode when it goes into the kiln, okay? However, this one is actually made anyway from air drying clay. This one is one that my daughter made out, and this is the ceramic one that's been through the kiln anyway, okay? Right, so we've got one ball of clay, which I've divided it into two. I've already wedged this, so imagine I've done the wedging to get the air out anyway. And one of these balls is going to act as our pinch pot to create the mound part of this. And the other bit is going to be the flat back, which is going to go on the slab, okay, at the back. So if we start off, okay, with our pinch pot, so with our pinch pot, we are rolling it into a ball in our hands. We want it nice spherical kind of shape to start with, okay? And then once we've got it firmly in our hands, I'm sinking one thumb into the middle, okay? And I'm turning it so that thumb in the middle is gradually making a bigger hole in the center, but I'm also using the palm of my hand to turn the clay as it's going, okay? So gradually that middle hole is getting bigger, but I'm also using the outer bit to mold the outside of the shape. Now eventually that hole gets big enough so you can fit both thumbs in there, and this way I'm feeling the outer side and I'm feeling where it's thick and where it's thin. So I know at the bottom at the moment is still quite thick. So I can start to kind of move the clay from where it's thick to where it's a little bit thinner. I can feel it's thin there. So I'm encouraging the thick parts of the clay to move into where it's a little bit thinner, okay? And now I'm also thinking about the shape I want to make. So I've already got a shape that I want it to be a bit more like that. So a bit longer, a bit thinner. So I'm encouraging the clay now to create the shape I want it to be, but I'm doing this gradually. So I'm not making it too thin in places, and I don't want to lose that nice spherical shape that I've managed to create. So it's a really slow process, and I'm really using the palm of my hand to create that nice shape that we want to keep. Right, really nice and gradually, and when I've got the shape that I want, then that can stay just there, okay? Right, the other part is going to be rolled out for your slab that's going to go onto the back. So the same way that we rolled out our tile beforehand, we're going to use our ruler guides to help us. Ball of clay in the middle. I'm going to move that to one side so I don't knock it by accident. And again, I'm rolling backwards and forwards. Then I'm turning the clay, so I'm not turning my body to make it uneven. I'm just turning the clay. And this time I want it to be a little bit longer and thinner, so I'm going to encourage the clay to go longer and thinner so it matches. Okay, right. I know I've got it where I want. I know I've got the size that I want it to be for the pinch pot. I'm checking against my design that I've got the shape that I like, and then I'm lining the two up together. Okay, so I know where I want it to go now. I'm going to gently score around the outside so I know where it's going to attach, okay? And then I'm scoring, almost cross-hatching the base it's going to go onto. And I'm scoring the bottom of my pinch pot as well. So where the two are going to come into contact. And then I'm using some of the slip. To act as my glue between one and the other. And you really don't want this bit to fall apart, so I'm going to make sure I've got some slip on both parts, so they really should adhere to one another. Okay, so I'm now attaching the two together, so I'm squeezing slightly firmer to know that I've got a good contact between them. Right, and what I'm doing here is I'm just going to cut a little bit off the edge. There we go. I know I've got a good contact here, but what I have got is a slight line between the two, okay? And even smoothing that off, we've got a definite line. So we want to try and get rid of that line. So we can create a coil, which we can create just between our hands like that, or you can put your hands on the table and get it more even. So if you're doing decorative coiling after this one, this is how I would recommend you roll out your coils for that. You should be able to get them longer and thinner. Right, once you've got a fairly even texture, that's going to go around the edge of there to fill up that gap. But you don't want that to remain as a hole. So once you've got that there, you're going to push some of the clay to come up onto the pinch pot and some of the clay to go down onto the base. And then you can use your finger and a little bit of water just to smooth up so you don't actually see that sort of the seam between the two. And you don't want it to look like it's two bits of clay that have been joined together. You want to make it look as if it is almost carved from one, like these gargoyles would have been carved from stone. Okay, and you can continue that all the way around. And then when you're happy, you can trim right the way around if you want to. Or you can make that the last thing to do if you want to, is to trim round. It's entirely up to you really, what order you want to kind of make things into. Right, when you kind of got that bit and the base all ready, the next thing I would do is to look at your design and work out where certain things are going to go. So I might even kind of sketch on, transfer your design from your paper onto the actual mask itself. So just very lightly, it just gives you a bit of a guide. So I'm thinking, right, the mouth will come roughly there. The nose will be fixed to that point. My cat just made a bit of a mess in the front room, I think. So the eyes are going to come around there, and the other eye is going to come roughly there, making sure that they're fairly even, but again, things can change. And then we've got one kind of horn bit that's going to come up there, the other horn will come roughly there. So I'm just planning where things are going to go, okay? When you've planned the majority, then you can start making. So the features, think about which are the main features you want to start with. So if that's the eyes, you can think about how you're going to make the eyes. So it might be that you're building certain parts like the eyelids or the centre of the pupil. You might be bringing those up. You might use tools to indent into it to make the certain parts. Okay, to bring that in, or that might become part of your hole. Like on my daughter's there, she made a complete hole for the eye, okay, so that the air can actually escape from there, but it doesn't have to. That's entirely up to you whether you want to build it up or cut into it as well, okay. And then start using your fingers to mould certain things. So with the nose, you kind of think, right, well, that's the top of it. That's going to be part of the nostril, and then using your thumbs and fingers to kind of mould and sculpt how you want things to be. And then when you're happy that you've got the shape that you want, don't forget to kind of score and use the slip to attach things. Okay, right. At the end of it, don't forget, once you've trimmed it all down, completely smoothed everything out, so using your water and your fingers to smooth all the edges so you're happy. The last thing to do would be to remember to put that hole in the back so you can let the air escape, so we haven't just trapped it inside the pinch pot, because if we do, it will explode in the kiln. Okay, and it's probably a good idea to write your name or your initials also onto the back of there, so that when it comes out of the kiln you remember which one is yours. Okay, I would also photograph everything you've done today so you've got a bit of a record as well on where it's all going. Right, have fun everybody, let me know how you get on.